Okay, well, first I got a couple of quotes here. This is Baba himself. I never make plans. I never change plans. It is all one never ending plan to make you realize there is no plan. I'll read that again. What's he saying there? I never make plans. This is Baba. I never change plans. It is all one never ending plan to make you realize there is no plan. This is Kabir. Are you looking for me? I am in the next seat. My shoulder is against yours. You will not find me in mosque or temple or cathedral. When you look for me, you will see me instantly. You will find me in the most humble dwelling, this very moment. So most of you probably got that transcript of a talk that, just a sharing that Eruch gave in Mandali Hall back in 1978. But he came back to that a number of times, and I don't know how you felt, but whenever he would share that, I would feel such a reassurance, that the destination is in our midst. When I was young, that means no more searching. We've come to the terminus. He's there. All we have to do, as Eruch said, is open up to his loving presence in the present. But that is the $64,000 question, how to do that. And one day in Mandali Hall, Eruch said, what does it mean to hold on to Baba's damaan? And, a number of us, and we all gave various and sundry answers. And then he said, Baba's form, including his personality. That, to meditate and focus on his form, is holding on to his damaan and his personality. Because in his form and personality is the infinite formless God within that form. As Darwin used to say, Baba is the doorway to the infinite. Through him. And I once asked, you probably heard this before, I once asked Marwan Jesawalik, because the destination in our midst is not, well, the way I used to take it, it's right here now. It's not in the future. We're right at the terminus here, so we just have to open up more and more to become aware that he's here right now. It's not a future attainment. And but I once said to Marwan Jesawala, Eruch's brother in Mandali Hall, I quoted Baba, live more and more in the present, which is ever beautiful and stretches away beyond the limits of the past and the future. And I said, what does that mean to you, Marwan? He said, you will only find him in the present. He said, people spend so much time thinking about the past and the future, and they let them slip away right in front of them, like water spilling in desert sands. So anyway, I'm just saying that as a way of introducing. This is this is really something. A great guide from Eruch.
Jeff, can you say that quote one more time about living in the present?
You mean live more and more in the present?
Yeah.
Which is these are Baba's words, live more and more in the present, which is ever beautiful and stretches away beyond the limits of the past and the future.
Thank you.
Those are Baba's words, yeah. So this is, I mean, that the destination is right here in our midst, right here while we're here on this screen, you might say. So, anyone have anything to say? I mean, some of you, oh, good. Some of you, I'm sure, have read the transcript. Did most of you read the transcript? Yeah. Okay, Marta.
I just want to just open it up by reading the second paragraph of this whole thing, because it's so compassionate of such a beloved. And it says, Eruch says, it's a fantasy. I have been with him for 40 years. There is no such thing as spiritual progress. Hold on to him. Him moving about is the progress. Him moving about is the progress. I love that. The cardinal things he has said, hold on to them. Hold on to my damaan. Remember that I love you so that you can reflect my love. Reflect my love. Be loving towards all. Be honest, simple, natural, and childlike. That's all. That's all we have to do. That is our path, no more than that. That is our spirituality. Everything is in holding on to him. There's nothing beyond it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Jeff, since everybody hasn't read it, maybe it might be constructive to read a paragraph at a time or something.
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's kind of long, but there's a lot in it.
Yeah, has most everybody read it, or I don't know if Jacima, if it can be put on the chat, it might be too long. I don't. But well, I think though it might be good to read parts of it aloud. I think it might be good to read parts of it aloud, but I don't have it. I don't know how I would get the email and this screen at the same time.
Oh, you don't have it in front of you?
No, I have it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So, but thank you for reading that portion of it. I know Eruch used to say, if you saw Baba across the room, and you would run to him, would you be aware of the ground you walked across and the people you passed? You just go right to him. That way you're not even aware that you've gone through the path because you're so excited to see Baba and be in his arms. So you don't know what was happening to your body. You didn't see a thing. You saw him. That's kind of another thing that he used to say. So Michael Childs.
Hi all. Well, I had some thoughts about what it might take for people to let go of Baba's damaan. And we have, I'd say, if he went against people's preconceptions of who he is, it's, we look at Baba's compassionate. Don Stevens said he was, what was the word that he used? It started with a T.
Tenderness.
Tenderness. But what if in this cleaning up that Bob was doing, the 75% of the world being destroyed, that he wasn't so tender? Talking about tsunamis, earthquakes. Now we're looking at fires, plague. There are people who are dying of COVID-19 saying, oh, thank you, God. Or are they cursing him? I had my old music teacher take that point of view after his wife died. He was 85 at the time. And I sent him some of my guzzles and he said, you're talking about God, aren't you? And he never wanted to talk to me again because he felt that God had betrayed him by taking his wife. So I think that we would have to consider that Baba, and to test us, would put us through some extremes. And I don't know exactly what that would be. It would vary with everyone. But we can pretty well count on this world being destroyed. It's being destroyed now as we speak. Imagine being tortured to death. Would you not say, why? Why are you doing this to me? Why deserve this? I mean, if you're such a compassionate God, why not kill me quickly? So I wrote a poem when Eruch died. He was murdered. And I guess many of you know Eruch and his wife Heather. And Heather and I have been friends back through the early 70s. Took care of her dog, in fact, when she went to India. And when I'd heard that Eruch had been killed by Dalits and she had been nearly murdered, this guzzle came to me. And it dealt with that subject. I'm afraid I got to look for it. So when I find it, I'll raise my hand and let you know that I have it in front of me to read.
Yeah.
But you have Baba's overall planning. I mean, I had the suspicion that Baba sequestered Mara because she'd ask if she knew that some disaster was going to happen. She said, Baba, do something. Don't just let those people die. And he was like almost figuratively pulling his hair saying, you don't know what you're asking me to do. Because I've worked out, he didn't say that exactly, but he'd worked out every detail of their, not just this incarnation, but their future incarnations and how it affected everybody else involved. It's like dropping a pebble in the water and you have all these ripples going on, and he had handled all these things and she's asking him to change it. So I humorously thought that he kept her sequestered so she wouldn't know about these things and drive him nuts, because he was obligated to do whatever she asked him to do. I just love that one quote from Growing Up with God, when Mani took Baba to task and said, if Mara said the world was flat, you'd agree with her, wouldn't you? And he said, yes. And that's when I decided, well, okay, if I have to say yes, dear, to a woman, I'll do it. If he can do it,
Yep.
I guess I'm going to try that. And it works, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but how do we take to heart that quote of Hafiz that whatever my master does is for the benefit of all, especially when we're getting roasted alive or killed and all these terrible things happening and families being disappeared, and look at all these tragedies that are going on around us.
Yeah.
To me, holding on to Baba's damaan is having this attitude of Hafiz, which is everything that my master does is for the good of all. So
that's a whole revolution in ourselves, and to accept with love what happens. I mean, the acceptance makes us more loving, oddly enough.
Look at these two. The cat is crawled between them.
Was that Tony?
Oh my God, I thought I was muted.
Oh no, Tony, you're going all over the world now. You're your cat.
I happened to be seeing the picture of Diane and Terry and their cat crawling up kind of behind them and then between them. And I was calling out to tell my wife, come over and look at this. Sorry, I'm trying to be anonymous today.
Oh, okay.
Incognito.
We want you to meet. We want you to meet Taj.
It's a puppy.
No, it's a poodle. Not a puppy.
Oh, it's a poodle. It looked like a cat.
oh, somebody had a
Let's
cat
go
also.
for Goer. Go ahead, Goer. Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah, Jay, Baba, Jeff, and everybody. So yeah, I read the transcript and it was very, very thought-provoking, I would say. So I especially found the part where somebody asks Eruch about the path and whether he should follow the path or whether the path follows him or something to that effect. And the way Eruch explained about that was very, very informative, in that he said, suppose you come in a bus to Merazad and you get off the bus, and now there's this 3/4 of a mile walk to Baba's house, and you're walking along the road there, and he said, if you take Baba to be your objective, and that's what you focus on, do you notice anything while you're walking on this path? For instance, do you notice the trees, or do you notice some acorns on the road, or do you notice shepherds in the field tending their flock? If you hold Baba as your main objective, you don't see any of this. You just come straight to Baba as being your focus, your objective, and that's it. I thought that was a beautiful analogy, the way he describes that. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that if you have Baba as your main focus, you don't, in other words, he takes you blindfolded on the path, is what he was trying to explain. That if you already have Baba and you've come to Baba, you don't need to worry about the path, because the path will follow you. And I thought that was so beautifully explained.
Yeah. Adi used to say the difference between someone on the gross plane and someone on the sixth plane. Someone on the gross plane is drowning in 6,000 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on the sixth plane is drowning in 6 inches of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're both drowning,
That's right.
But
That's right. So you don't have to worry about being on the path, or the path will follow you, in other words.
yeah, we wind up going through the path, but then we don't have to even think about it, because it's happening as we're focusing on Baba.
Yes.
That's
I
kind of
thought
what
that beautifully explained. Yes.
Let's see, Joshua from New Guinea, right?
Almost. Just a little bit further south.
Well, you're that
from
little
New Guinea.
island off of New Guinea, right?
Yeah, that tiny one. Yeah, Australia. Yeah, I think like for me, I think a big simple thing is just finding a way to trick myself into remembering Baba. Like writing letters to him, or having a habit of conversing with his photograph, or some kind of way to keep him in my life as a reminder. And I think this links into what people have been saying. When I think it was David, I can't remember, the guy was talking about, Michael Childs was talking about the difficult times. I've gone through a lot of difficult times in my childhood. I went through quite a bit of trauma in my childhood, and it's interesting. I've found that what works for me is just coming back to that relationship with Marwan, and being honest with him. If I'm feeling angry, and if I feel like he's punishing me, and if I feel like life is terrible, then I'll tell him, and I'll talk to him about it. And even though I'm expressing some anger, it's still strengthening that connection that I have with him. And yeah, so I think it comes back down to just keeping the focus, in simple ways, remembrances, trying to slip him into your life in different ways so that you just keep on remembering. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and what Eruch is saying is that all these little, looking at Baba's photograph, or writing a note to him and everything, that is all focusing on the goal itself. It's not a way station, it's the goal. You think, well, how could just singing Baba's song to Baba, how could that be singing to the goal, but it is. Anyway, Marta.
Wanted to follow up on what Goher had said right from this thing from Eruch. It just says, we don't follow the path because we have got the beloved. We have direct contact with him. And, I've kind of been becoming aware of this statement that we have direct contact with the beloved. I think I just take it for granted because Baba's had me for so long. Well, Baba's there. But I mean, this infers, that because we have direct contact, because we're within this 100 years, and some of us here, of course, have actually seen Baba, but with this 100 years that we have direct contact. So it's like he just picked us all up and says, here, hang on to me, we're going. And we don't have to do all this other stuff except remember him. That's all.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine it's that simple, but it really is that simple. I mean, it's fighting off the distraction, but just keep returning to Baba, get distracted, return to Baba, and, I'm thrilled. I was always thrilled when he would talk that way about the destination is in our midst. Anyone else?
Jeff, do you want me to share the screen, that email that you sent?
You mean the so the people can read it, you mean, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we have Josh? Why don't you read it?
Yeah, that's good, Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have an Australian accent. Okay. On November 30, December 3rd, 1978, sitting with visiting pilgrims in Mandali Hall at Merazab, Avatar Meher Baba's close disciple Eruch Jesawala touches on the subjects of spiritual progress and the path, and their disappearance when the focus and grip are all on the God-man, as gathered from Baba. The following transcript of Eruch's remarks is assembled from tape recordings. It's a fantasy. I've been with him for 40 years. There is no such thing as spiritual progress. Hold on to him. Him moving about is the progress. The cardinal things he has said. Hold on to him. Hold on to my damaan. Remember that I love you so that you can reflect my love. Be loving towards all. Be honest, simple, natural, childlike. That's all we have to do. That is our path, no more than that. That is our spirituality. Everything is in holding on to him. There's nothing beyond it. All the big terms, all the philosophies, all the theology have no meaning. Does it hold any meaning, brothers? You see, everything is just verbosity. To be practical, to be truthful, I say this. This is the right thing. There are books full of virtues and vices, but Baba has given us the secret. There is no such thing as virtue and vice. If I tell the world will misconstrue it. I can't say this to the world. But when the time comes, you'll have to speak the truth. It is so. What can we do? It is so. Should we create vice and virtue? There's no such thing as that. No such thing as spiritual. True spirituality is in our having to do with Baba. To use another word, true spirituality is total effacement without giving a thought that we are treading or that this is my spiritual progress and this is how I take the next step and this step and that step. But then how will there be total effacement? The practical way is to hold on to him. Be simple, be natural. That is effacing yourself. But if just one word is used, effacement, that doesn't convey anything, you see. What do you mean by effacement? Should we get ourselves rolled upon by a steamroller or something like that? No, it's wearing ourselves out by holding on to him. It's very difficult. It sounds so simple. Very difficult. This is a question to Eruch from one of those present. You said yesterday that we don't follow the path, that the path follows us. Does that mean that if we turn round and go backwards, the path turns around? Eruch says, turn round? Yes. We have nothing to do with the path. Wherever we are, that becomes the path. If you turn away from him, the path also follows you there. Then again, he gives you another turn towards him. The path again follows. He is there. He is the pivot. As long as the concentration on him is there, there is no such thing as path. What happens is that our focus is on the beloved himself. We have nothing to do with the path. If the path is there at all, path will follow us because we are heading towards him. We have no time to see the path at all. We are all the time focusing upon him. There is the greatness of those who come in the orbit of his love. The path follows him, whereas for other wayfarers, they have to follow the path. We don't follow the path because we have got the beloved. We have direct contact with him, so our energies, our might, our soul, our being, our bodies are all focused upon him. So that is the difference between the lover of God-man and the lover of the path. But then there will come a stage for the lover of the path, when again he will be there. He comes to that place where he focuses upon the beloved only. Then the path disappears for him. But the spiritual dispensation is there to dispense with the path. He brings the destination in our midst. You follow? What need is there for the path when the destination is there? Oh, my language falls short, but this is how it is. I hope I can give you the idea that is behind it. No tantalizing effects are there for us, you see. Now, more figuratively, this is, say, Meherazad, or the tomb. That tomb, of course, signifies something different. So say Meherazad, where he was stationed physically. Now this is his seat. You have been permitted to come, and there is a multitude coming here. After a long time, they are having this opportunity to go to him, and they are all anxious all the time. All the time their thoughts are on him. When will they go? When will they reach him? When will they see him? When will they be enfolded in his arms and all that? That happens to a lover. It happens like that. That is what I'm describing. Now what happens is you get down at the bus stop there, where the approach road begins. You know how long it is. It is 3/4 of a mile. There are many sorts of trees there. There are many huts there. Many shepherds live there. Different shepherds are there for the sheep, and there are cow herds and all sorts of things are there. When you come here in all eagerness to be in his arms, would you be taking notice of all this, all that is there? If you were to ask me, did you notice that palm tree there? Did you notice that particular cherry tree that is there on the road? I'd say, no. Is that so there? I haven't seen it. Why didn't you see it? You were there traversing the path. No, we were not traversing the path. We were heading towards the destination. Path was following us. You follow? That is the figure. But the one who is on the path, he will notice every pebble that is there, every rock that is there, the ruts in the path that are there, then the cow herds, the shepherds, people living in the huts, and then he will converse with them, stop there, and he'll be enticed into their houses, he'll be welcomed there, he'll feel things, and then it takes a long time for him to reach the destination. The time is over when he comes here. He comes to admire the mansion because he is a wayfarer of the path. So when he comes, he just looks at the mansion. He misses the Lord of the mansion, but he admires the mansion. It's like that. So every time with the Advent, it is such a great blessedness, you see. It's a blessing we are now in this era where he has been with us. He is with us for 100 years or so now. Path is created by us, you see, but one who is concentrating all his thought and devotion, his heart and his consciousness, his everything upon him. For him, there is no path, whether you are in involution or evolution, or whatever process there is there. He even aids the very concept of realization. The questioner asks, does the idea of involution apply to us then? And Eruch says, there is involution. It is all there. The path is there, you see. Questioner, but without experience of it. Then Eruch says, yes, without. It's all there, but you don't experience it. Just as he has used the word, you are led blindfolded. You follow? And that blindfolding is not just a mechanical blindfolding, because words fail here. You may call it your heart is set upon. Your whole focus of consciousness is upon him. Whatever you call it, it is just on him. He becomes the path, the way, and the goal. The questioner asks, you're inattentive to the path so profoundly that it doesn't exist for you. And Eruch says, doesn't exist, although it is there. The powers are there on the path, you see. Many enchantments are there. All the powers are confronting you. They are just prostrating before you. Use me, I'm here. But you discard all this. Your attention is always on him. Your heart is set upon him. When will I go? When will I see him? When will I be with him? When will I be in his company? You don't take any cognizance of this. They don't exist for you, really speaking, let alone don't care. You don't even notice they are all there. It is so, it's a fact. So that's why the greatest spiritual dispensation is his being in our midst.
Beautiful. I wanted to ask Goer, when you were a little girl and you went to see Baba in the East-West gathering, did you notice anything?
Nope.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
well,
only how to get there.
yeah, well, all I remember is when I was at the gates of Guru Prasad, I could see a sea of people. There were tons of people there, but my whole focus was on Baba, so that when I came to the back of Guru Prasad, and I knew that I would just walk a few paces, I would turn around, and the first thing I wanted to do was to see Baba. That's it. And that's exactly how it happened. I mean, I didn't know where the stage would be or how things would be or whatever. I just, from within, I felt this was how it is going to be. So I indeed walked a few paces ahead. I think my mother was with me. And then I turned around, and the first thing I saw was Baba on the stage. And then everything just stopped for me. I don't know how long I stood there and just gazed at him. It seemed like a timeless moment, but that was it. That was the way I pictured it, and that's exactly how it turned out. So.
And then the days kind of went by where you, in a certain way, didn't notice anything in real clear detail, right?
That's right. The 4 days went by like in a flash, but in between, of course, we had time to our small group from Karachi had personal time with him in the little room in Guru Prasad on the side of Mandali Hall. And of course, that was the first time I remember bowing down to him physically and taking his darshan physically. And again, another timeless moment. So,
Yeah.
And then of course, sitting with my father next to me, and sorry, that was not in 62, that was subsequently a few years later in 65, when us Easterners were called for the next darshan. And my father, sitting in that little room next to me, turns to me and whispers in my ear and says, keep your gaze on him, just keep your gaze on him. Take in all you can, because this will last you a lifetime. This memory will last you a lifetime. So, yeah.
What a beautiful thing for a father to say to a daughter.
Yeah.
The highest that could be said.
That's right.
And, I wanted to mention is Ramakrishna was one of the perfect masters in the latter part of the 1800s. Perfect master, wonderful, delightful if you ever read the story of his life. But he was once asked, what is the highest love? And he gave two instances. One was the love of the gopis for Krishna. Now Krishna, without going into the whole history, but Krishna, even though he was the destined king, he was smuggled into this village and grew up as a cowherd. And he was much loved, so loved and everything. And when he turned, I think it was, I think he became the king around age 16. That's another whole story, but he became the king, and one day he sent one of his ministers, really one of his disciples, to Vrindavan, where all the gopis were. And I kind of picture this scene, I don't know, it was so long ago I read it, but he's coming by horseback down this hill, and all the gopis run to him. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? And they're just begging him, where's Krishna? And I think is it Uddara, the disciple? I don't know.
Sorry, I can only call one person at a time. Who would you like to?
Just turned on my telephone somehow. Um, I can only talk to one person at a time. How weird. Anyway, so they, and his disciple says, that Krishna is the Lord of creation. He's everywhere. Oh, don't tell us that. Why don't you bring Krishna? We don't care about that. We don't care if he's the Lord of creation. Why don't you bring him? That attachment to the physical. The physical form of Krishna, Ramakrishna says, the highest form of love. Other people might say, like, what? That's an attachment to the form. But it's the form. And now the other example he gave is that Hanuman, before he became devoted to Ram, was a follower of Vishnu. Vishnu was his god. And Ramakrishna describes it. Ram is with his disciples, and in the distance, Hanuman is coming. And he's, in the distance, and he's making his way toward them. And Ram says, he says to his disciples, I'm going to have to change into the form of Vishnu, because that is the one that's the one that's his God. That's the highest form of love. That you even make God, the avatar, change into the form that is the object of all your love and heart. So those are two instances that Ramakrishna gave. So Michael.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
I found the guzzle.
Yeah.
Erico. Oh, beloved, what have you done to me? I was sleeping, guileless, blameless in the eyes of the world, and you had me bludgeoned to death. What did I do to deserve this? Is there no justice in the world when the innocent are so slaughtered and murderers go free? When the poor are robbed and the rich engorge themselves? What did we do to deserve this? Heidi, Heather, oh beloved, where is my husband? He is in your arms, but all I have are his ashes. I pull out my hair, I weep, I rend my breast to no avail. What have I done to deserve this? You, immutable one, you sit untouched by life and death. You took my Erico and left me to burn candles, unappeased, without his embrace, without his touch, without his smile. Yes, my love for you is undimmed, but what did we do to deserve this? Why do we who love you more than life itself suffer so? Why do you rob us of every crumb of happiness and leave the cupboard bare? Is this the fare you serve your lovers? Are these meager pickings what we deserve? Papa says, O lovers of mine, hear me above your grief. Open your hearts and minds and listen to my song. Know that every tear you shed is a river in my heart that drowns my bliss. Know that bliss is what you deserve, and that you shall receive it, as did Erico. He was like a plum on the tree of knowledge, fully ripe, ready to pick, to taste the fullness of perfection. And I had 10 dacoits, maddened criminals who needed to receive what they richly deserved. And 18,000 worlds of wild humans who had no love, no one to guide them into the paths of righteousness, or to lead them back to earth when they are ready 1,000,000 years from now to receive my love, which they will then deserve. Who better to serve this purpose than Erico's murderers and their band? You know that if you kill a saint, you will in turn become a saint. And there were those in the hierarchy who needed to move up and receive the boost and status that they deserved. 10 future saints who a perfected soul. It was perfect. So what could I do, dear ones? Erico's time had come. that the Coits needed the blood of a saint on their hands. Everyone involved has and will receive what they deserve. O lovers of mine, pay heed and listen to your Lord. First you will grieve, then you will weep. Then a smile will cross your lips and you will laugh once more. Eruch has come to me. Let the celebration begin, which you richly deserve.
Wow. Yeah.
I talked to Heather about it. I showed her the poem. And she said it took her a year to feel that way.
Yeah. I used to talk with Erico, and he used to talk about those dacoits years in advance. So he must have had some inkling. But he had a dream about where his head was split open and bliss was poured in. So he probably is better off than we are. You know, he doesn't have to wear masks anymore. And he's unvaccinated and free. Anyway, anyone else to share on the destination is in our midst? The opening up to Baba in this, Baba's loving presence in this moment. Anything that rattles around. Rainy's usually got something, but well, I'll go to Rosalie here.
As she left, Jeff.
Ah. Who's next?
I could read something.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. I think we got to the bottom of my queue.
Oh, before we go on, I've got Erwin is going to talk on.
God help me with the internet.
But one second thought. So just to let you know, Erwin will share and emphasizing the East-West Gathering, 1962 November with Baba. So that awaits us. Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to hear Tom Riley sharing again of the East-West. I love hearing that. Anyway, I think this coming is so powerful, so incredibly, overwhelmingly powerful, and growing in power as he manifests. That, I mean, for one thing, all of our technology, but for me, the flower of the technology is to be able to see the beloved on film. I watch him every day. I mean, that's an incredible thing. It's not a painting of him. You know, it's not someone's impression. Like, he's still there. He still throws prasad to people. You can catch prasad from Meher Baba. It's not, that's reality on film. It's not some character on film. It's the avatar.
Yeah, beautiful.
You know, so I completely, it's here in the midst for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say this one thing. I hate saying in the master's prayer, you are without form. I love the form. I don't say it. It.
Yeah, but it contained in within Baba's form and personality is the formless and infinite God. So I would just say one time Darwin was looking at Baba and he started removing the veils. Baba got more brighter and brighter and more loving and everything, and eventually Baba disappeared and he was just looking at the ocean of divine love. And then very gradually Baba kind of came back into form. So they're both the ocean and the perfect drop are right there in front, all embodied in Baba, I guess you can say.
But our path is with his body, with the form. That's
Yeah.
our path. I mean,
Well,
you know, we're not all to Darwin's experience.
yeah.
So our path is to focus on that beautiful form.
Yeah, if people have a mixture. Not everybody is just. Some people are more. They approach Baba slightly differently, so they're different ways. Anyway, Janet.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank, was it Marta and Wayne who gave you that quote, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, it was deeply touching to me, and how so was that, it just felt that it just made me yearn even more. It really gave me a feeling of deep yearning for closeness to Meher Baba.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it just you know, I mean, for me at least, that comes and goes, but it awakened that deep feeling of yearning for Baba, that longing, and just reading that did that for me. And so I'm just very grateful and wanted to express that.
Yeah, yeah, it's, and sometimes when he would give it in person, it was such a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to be running around anymore checking out other other destinations. Rainey.
Hi. It's funny you were talking about Baba's form.
Your mic is low, Rain. Your
Yeah.
mic.
Oh, it's always like that. Is
There
that
you go. That's good. That's
That's
good.
good.
okay? I have to hold little
Yeah.
snowball, because people put things up on Facebook, and there's, you know, different unusual Facebook pages, not just individuals. And someone put, there's one called Hippie Trails, and Ursula's friends with it. And some person writes in an article on Afghani coats and famous people in Afghani coats. And he goes putting John Lennon and George Harrison, and then this anonymous person in 1923 in an Afghani coat in his article. Baba is so sneaky.
Beautiful.
It's priceless, isn't it? His form. And the person thinks that they're studying an Afghani coat. Bless his cotton socks, Professor Honey Bonnie, or whoever he is. But you mentioned the road, and I thought of a little poem. This poem is said by buttons that travel around on Baba's coat. We travel a road that has no end, and the road itself is our journey's friend. But the road is beloved Meher's name, in which is our beginning and our end. We travel the road of Meher's name, having left behind the world and its false claim. And our coin, even for the way, is Meher gold, on which is stamped his glorious name. We travel a road that can't be seen by eyes other than ours, though so keen. And we sing our songs to no one but Meher, and we notice his tears made the desert green. Behold us now, with mind and hearts empty of all but love's consuming flame, going swiftly, silently on our journey, always singing and saying his name.
Beautiful. That's Francis.
Francis Brabazon.
We lost your last remark because you got.
Oh,
away
I
from
put
it.
down my little Sputnik.
Yeah.
Yes, Francis Brabazon, a song of Francis Brabazon, but it's a lovely poem.
Yeah. Beautiful. Any?
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, what caught my attention among various beautiful things that Eric said in that message of his is effacement. I mean, it's somewhere Baba said, "You go and I come," and so that "you go" would obviously mean effacement. I mean, I do not exist in this the way I perceive my personality. So that to me really is, and somewhere I believe I heard Adi mention that effacement contains the spiritual path, or the path which I think means going through all these planes of consciousness. And but the spiritual path does not necessarily contain effacement, so something to that effect, if I remember right. So, and I came across this beautiful thing that Bal Natu wrote in one of his book, Intimate Conversations with the Awakener. So one of the questions he obviously is asking Baba is, what do you mean by staying low? I think it's effacement here. That's what I think he meant. So the question is, what do you mean by staying low? So, and he obviously is thinking Baba is answering him, and he says, to stay low is to perceive my glory in everyone and everything, and to honor it with all respect. It is to be conscious that my glory is a source and foundation of perception itself. As for the rest, you will have to discover that on your own. I mean, it's very fascinating what I just read from here. So I mean, that word effacement really caught my attention here in all that Eric shared. So I mean, I thought I just shared that.
Yeah. Thank you, Prakash. Oh, Rainey, you know those 3 talks that Francis gave, the one about upside down in a garbage can?
Yes.
I mean, there's a whole beautiful thing they wrote about effacement.
Mighty Beloved, that's called.
The Mighty Beloved.
It was a speech at the 69 Darshan.
Yeah. Do you have that there, or?
Yes.
I mean, right handy at this moment.
Yes.
Yeah. How about reading that? This is really, this is, Francis was like right next to Baba for 11 years, I think. And these are his observations at point blank range of Baba.
Just take someone else's hand. It's just on the alphabetized on the Brabazon shelf.
She's going to look for it. And here's one thing that I'm going to kind of paraphrase Rick Chapman, because I can't remember the conversation exactly. But when I first met Rick, he was like a real kind of seeker. I mean, he's like, he was a seeker, and he had, I think it was in 1966 or something like that, he met Baba in Mandali Hall. And one of the first things that one of the things he said in this interview with Baba said to forget spirituality, forget about spiritual experience and the planes of consciousness. This is what Baba says to him. Back then, early years with Baba, he didn't really have a clear idea of any of this stuff. But anyway, so Rick had this flash. He said he felt Baba relieved him of hundreds of miles of travel on the spiritual path up through the planes of consciousness to realization. And it's like, they said, the spiritual freeway. And there was a little road, the way I picture a little road off the side of the freeway that you could turn off and go, and it would hook up with the approach road to Marizad. which is kind of the lane of love, and Merazad is the Sufi tavern. And there, it's about effacement. Rather than realizing your spiritual potential, you become nobody. So all those drunks down at the end of the approach road are being dissolved in Baba. So Darwin used to say, sooner or later you discover you're nobody, and that is not an unhappy discovery. So that's the way of effacement, rather than going the way of realizing your spiritual potential. But that's the beautiful thing.
Jeff, when Rainey reads that, would you turn your, would you mute yourself? That fan is,
Oh, is it going again?
yeah. Thank you. Okay, Rainey. Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't know if Jeff wanted all of it or just a section. Did you just want a section, Jeff? You're muted, Jeff.
Yeah, just that section would be good.
Section? How the beloved would
A little less God and a little more man, a little less God.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think it's here. It's just
she's
four
very-
short pages anyway. So yeah,
She's
I'll
very
just
faint again.
pick up the baby again. Okay. Why aren't you working in naughty blue? Okay. So when beloved Baba used to tell us that he was God, I used to think, well, yes, Baba, you're God, all right. The one God and all the gods, but what good is that to me? In fact, I used to get so fed up with him being God that I wished he wasn't God. He wasn't God. I'm doing that because he does that, because he loses his place in the recording. He wasn't God. Or I wished he was a sort of an Old Testament God to whom I could just slaughter a fat lamb or a spotless young bull in return for some added acreage. I got so tired of his being so much God that I even wrote a song about it, and I sang it to him. It goes something like, if only you were a bit less God, a bit more man, I wouldn't feel so much like someone upside down in a garbage can. But you see, Baba wasn't going to become a bit more man just for my sake, was he? So I had to settle for him being the divine beloved. You're muted, Jeff.
Yeah. Hey, how about reading just the beginning of that?
Okay. I'm amused and filled with joy to discover that the beloved I've been serving for many years is truly a very mighty beloved. Of course, I've known all along that he was God, but there are so many gods. There is the God which people see in a shape of illusion, such as in a sunset or a mountain view or in a symphony, or whose hand is seen in one's not getting caught in a rainstorm or in getting a good job. No doubt a very comfy and profitable God to have. Well worth a candle or some Hindu incense, a Christian candle or some Hindu incense, but not a God to whom one would offer one's entire life. There is the God who rules the shining plains of consciousness, but sight of him would blind one. And then there's the God who is beyond the plains, is unknowable except by his own grace, and he is extremely careful to whom he gives that grace. So when beloved Baba used to tell me he was God, I used to think, yes, Baba, you're God, all right, the one God and all the gods, but what good is that to me? And then he goes into, and I think sometimes if only you were a bit less God, a bit more man, I wouldn't feel so upside down in a garbage can. And he mentioned singing the song to Baba about it, which I had spaced that he'd actually written that song sometimes before this speech. And in that, just like Michael, he mentions the 18,000 planets in his a poem too.
Hey, did he Francis read that to Baba, that talk?
No, this talk was at the 69 Darshan
Okay.
after Baba
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah.
But he does mention here that he sang sometimes to Baba, which is the song we have where he says he's just so fed up with Baba being God. He thinks he'll go to another planet, one of the 18,000 that you never ever inhabit. But God, I bet you'd show up there. I bet you'd show up there just looking more God and more beloved than ever. And if only I could talk to you for once, man to man, for not once feeling upside down in a garbage can. If only I could talk to you at all and not just squirm like a worm or laugh like a lout. If I could just understand a word you were saying. And that's why sometimes I wish you were a bit less God, a bit less beloved, and a bit more man, and I wouldn't feel like a man upside down in a garbage can. It's terrific. It's sort of got a jazzy tune as well. Oh, Baba must have been amused.
Hey, we got Al here.
I just want to say that when Francis says, yes, you're God, all gods, what good is that to me? It reminded me of Meister Eckhart once said, yes, yes, Mary's full of grace, and the whole world might be full of grace. But as long as I'm not full of grace, what good does it do me? That Meister Eckhart was a real interesting character. Some of the things he said
Yeah,
are unforgettable
he was almost
for me
going to be
anyway.
excommunicated, but he died before he got
Yeah, they say
tried.
he had the good sense to die.
Any other things? I mean, what's beautiful, I mean, I know everybody on these sessions, everybody has such original and beautiful ways of remembering Baba in the course of the day. And that's what, that's what Eruch is saying. Any which way. From setting your cooking timer for 15-minute intervals to whatever. Al plays cards and mumbles Baba's name under his breath all the time, trying to get Baba to help him win, and every which way.
Yeah, that's
Oh, go ahead, Marta.
I wanted to ask Gohair a question. Gohair, through your life, has it gotten easier for you to make Baba your own constantly in your life? I mean, did it start less when you were younger? Has it gotten more or easier, or do you have any tricks beside remembering Baba?
Yes, what you say is correct. So when you're younger and you have all these, things happening in your life and distractions and your married life, your children, whatever, you tend not to think of him consciously in your daily activities as much. Of course, he was always there for me, but as the years went by, more and more, more and more and more and more. So today it's to the point where I think he's just naturally comes into my consciousness in so many different ways. I can't even begin to tell you, whether I'm cooking in the kitchen, whether I'm, sometimes I'll be watching TV and something will strike and I'll think of Baba. And or we're to think of him at 12 o'clock and at 5 o'clock. And so initially it's an effort, but then it comes to a point where he actually reminds you, and all of a sudden I'll be doing something and I'll think of Baba and I'll look at my watch and it'll be 5 o'clock. So, it's come to that point. So he is just naturally with me before I put my first morsel of food in my mouth, or before when first thing in the morning or last thing at night. I mean, those are just automatic ways to think of him. But during the day, even in between, he just naturally comes into my thoughts, and that's wonderful. So yeah. I can't tell you. I'll be doing something in the kitchen, and then my favorite song will come on, and I'll just dance to, I'll be thinking I'm dancing with him. So, which is something I love to do. So anyway, that's just
Go here. Thank
yeah.
you.
So any which way.
And I can imagine Baba just, enjoying anything we do with him.
That's right. That's right.
If we could have a private interview with Baba to say, well, hey, how do you like the way I remember you? He would just be effusive in what he. So let's see, Diane.
Hi. So since I've gotten more and more having Baba in my heart, this is really hard to get out of my brain into the English language. I've been trying hard not to pray and ask for anything specific. And I think that's because I hear people on these sessions talk about being disappointed by Baba. They prayed for something and Baba didn't answer the prayer.
In that time.
And Terry's always saying, it's in Baba's time, not necessarily your time. But I hear earlier tonight, I heard somebody say that they can get angry at Baba. So I just want to kind of like leave it to your thoughts about how to respond to that, about praying specifically for something from Baba.
Are you talking to me or?
Yeah, sure.
Well, one thing that Bao Kaoshuri used to say, and I agree with it, ask Baba for things that you feel you need, just don't expect. I mean, he may be, by pointing out things to him, things that are important to you, you're of course giving attention to him, and it's a form of give and take, But like I say, you can ask anything, just don't expect. But surprisingly enough, a lot of beautiful things he will respond. But if you want the Los Angeles Dodgers to win, and someone else from Cincinnati wants the Redlegs to win, what's Baba going to do? Someone's got to win and someone's got to lose. He's got a lot of prayers coming in.
Right.
But have fun with it. I would say have fun with it. Rainey.
And of course, being raised by somebody who's from the school of not asking, you might ask for something, and something threefold times as much might have been due to come to you, and you'll only get what you asked for. That's a tricky business, the ask part. And I would sit cringing at some talks. It's all there for us, I guess, is more the point. But I thought it would be a little remiss not to read the last direct message in the last paragraph of the Mighty Beloved. And that is, why has Beloved Baba given all of you people this extraordinary privilege to know of him? Why? And because he required just a few to do what the many have yet to do, to get through illusion, to take his darshan. You have your part to play on this grand journey you have begun. And you must not leave it all to your beloved. For every step the lover takes to the beloved takes 10 to the lover. But the lover must continually take that one step. We must practice taking beloved Baba's darshan. bowing down to him in our hearts every day, then every moment, until we have continuous sight of him. Happenings will happen, even grand happenings, but they will not be that happening which has to happen in our hearts. So do not look to these other happenings to nourish your faith. Depend only upon his word and its song and sound in our hearts. But be prepared for a long, long, long journey to have beloved's real darshan. But it may only take a mere 700 years to reach his door and bow down to him for the last time and merge in him forever. Say, Bob.
Beautiful.
And then there's Bao, who said, when my mummy died, what did mummy say before she died, Rainey? And I said, Mummy said, stop the world, I want to get off. And Bao's entourage laughed. And Bao wheeled round and said, do not laugh at Mummy's request. Never underestimate grace.
Beautiful. You know, Mark Palmer, he was the advocate of Baba's 12-step program. You take one step toward him, and he takes 11 steps toward you.
That's great. I love that.
Okay, Michael.
Hi again. I make it a practice not to ask Baba for anything because my understanding is that he could come up with a much better solution for stuff than I can imagine. So why deprive him of the pleasure and the privilege of having that, being in that place? And this way I am grateful for everything that I received. But there was one instance where I did pray. My younger son was born without hip sockets. And we discovered it around 2 years old. And the time frame for him to develop hip sockets naturally was about 2 years old. And they're formed by the femur being placed to the hip, to the pelvis, and then they naturally grow a socket and the femur grows. And we didn't know whether it was going to be too late or not. And so he had 2 operations already. And he was only like between 2 and 3, which is a beautiful, delicate age. And to see this child who was full of life just to be in a hospital bed was a heartbreaker. And the night before his operation, I prayed to Baba to cure him or to give him a hip socket so that he could have a happy, healthy life. Because I was watching children just walking around, not paying any attention to the fact that they could walk naturally, and my son could not. So I prayed and I prayed. And the next day, we were in the operating room, and the anesthesiologist, they had me be in there too. I was a little bit more emotionally stable than my wife at the time, so they could count on me not to fall to pieces. So I was holding him in my arms when the anesthesiologist came up behind him and jabbed him with a large needle, and he immediately fell unconscious. And it was like having my child die in my arms. It was so unconscious. And then the whole night I prayed that he'd be well and normal. And the next day the doctor said, no, we had failed. And the hip was going to be about 1.5 inches off, and he would be handicapped for the rest of his life. And so I asked God, You're omnipotent. You could do that if you wanted to. Why? Why? And the answer was, that's what he wanted. And I accepted this. And well, long story short, when he was 20, he was also getting to suffer some schizophrenia, and he was in constant pain because his femur had ground to half dome, grinding against his pelvis, and we had to get an operation for a hip replacement. And I sent out letters to people, and we raised enough money to go to India because he didn't qualify for Medi-Cal. We had no insurance. And we had a really good time in India, and I spent time with Bao, and he recovered from the operation at the NPR. But I just remember that him collapsing in my arms and asking God, I know you know what you're doing, but this is really hard to take. And but another part of me was curious to see how this thing was all going to work out. So that's my story of praying for something and not getting it.
Yeah, but you did get an answer. That was, that's what he wanted.
Baba never fails to give me an answer.
Yeah.
Never. I remember I was in Guru Prasad, and I was rehearsing with people. I was the guitar player, the accompanist. So people were rehearsing in Guru Prasad for the great darshan. And I'm looking at this empty green chair with a picture in a lei and two sandals, Baba's sandals, and I'm just thinking, I don't feel anything. I just came 10,000 miles to know that God's everywhere. Well, I knew that to begin with. And then I said, I guess we could call this a prayer. I said, God, reveal yourself to me. I don't want any more books. I don't want any words. Reading a book about God is like reading the driver's manual. It doesn't tell you much about driving the car. I want the actual experience. Reveal yourself to me. Now, the next day, he just knocked me on my rear end by answering that prayer. So there was one time I did get what I wanted, but I also wanted a woman in my life, and I got that too. So I'm very blessed, very blessed. A lot of suffering, but it was all worth it.
Yeah. Expectation, the thing about expectation is it kind of cancels out gratitude. You know, if you get what you expected, you're not as grateful. Hey, but we got Alan Manukian. I mean, he just, you know, he anything going on over there in the Bay Area.
Yeah, hey, good to see everybody. Thank you, Michael Childs, for sharing that. That was really a very vulnerable thing to share about your lives, and that's a lot of. There's definitely a chapter I'm experiencing right now in my life that's with considerable amount of mental and I would say physical suffering, but I would say that I was talking to a friend the other day, and he had told me, we hadn't talked, we had some pretty traumatic things happen around the same time, and he had told me that first thing that happened to him, he was pulling a log on a four-wheeler, and somehow the log got snagged and flipped up in the air and landed right on the side of his head and cracked his neck. And he was in a place where he was out there, you know, so if he didn't get himself to safety, he would have died. So he saw himself passing out, and then he realized, I can't go out like this. And So he kind of through the immense pain and almost blacking out, he took himself on a four-wheeler back home and passed out, which you're not supposed to do when you have a concussion. And I guess he was suffering with vertigo. And then he had COVID, and then he survived that because he heard himself. It was like he heard the voice of God tell him. I mean, this is what he was telling me, that it was, he needed to stop the machines, he was like on the whole machines thing, and they were like, "Sir, what are you doing?" He was like taking the machines off. He's like, I have to leave right now. And they're like, no, you cannot leave. And he was like, yes, I have to. And so he somehow really like super recovered when he got home. He just like really recovered. And then that day when he finally had some strength in his body, he got the news that his mother had COVID. And so he had to basically spend that energy was there for him to care for her. And unfortunately she passed. And so he's talking about all this suffering with me, and I'm listening, and yet there's something about it where we've come to this place where we can talk to people now, where you're not just in the midst of this intense the burning of it. It still burns, but it's in a different way. I can function a little bit better. And so he said a line to me which really struck me. He said, Alan, and because I was thinking in my mind, I was thinking, how can you not have this heaviness in your heart? How can you not be complaining? How can you not be talking about the suffering aspect of it? And I was just thinking that. And then he said, Alan, all this suffering is the triumph of the awakening of humanity. And when he said that, it really cracked something, and it just really kind of opened my heart up. And I was like, it was just to hear somebody, somebody that I'm on the phone with, that I've known many years, to be suffering in that level and have a particularly different path of, relating to God. For him to say something like that his suffering, he felt his suffering was for the healing and for him to rearrange, that it was a triumph for the awakening of humanity. It was part of that triumph. We're all, yes, the ship might be sinking in many different ways, but there was something about that really was inspiring. And so I'm really appreciating when people are talking about that whole thing of like praying to God or praying to Baba and asking for things to be different, or wanting, being in a particularly tight moment as a human being and being like, God, please help me, this is insane, what is happening? And I feel like it's pretty natural, but yeah, it's definitely like, and then I was reading, I must think, are you still here? Yeah, I was reading this book, The God Seeker by Minu. And this book has been incredibly helpful. I mean, incredibly beautiful, the suffering that this man went through to be at the feet of his master. It was, to read those things. And I would get frustrated with him. I would get frustrated at him. I would get frustrated in the thing that he was in. I would get frustrated at Baba. I mean, it was like I could feel his real tension in just trying everything he was doing to be a human being, and yet facing so many challenges. And it would just really help me to reflect on my own self and my own ways, and being annoying and being a frustrating human being to other people. And so when my friend said that comment, it's like, it's a healing, it's a way of transforming the old life. I really take that as a blessing. I think someone said that it's a true blessing. And that softens the bitterness, or the reflect the reactive, like real anger and rage towards God, like, why are you doing this to me? Or yeah, I don't know, that's And I really appreciate it, by the way. The last thing I'll say is just that thing of what Eruch said. And I am taking it as an experiment, because what happens when the books are gone? What happens when you don't have anything in front of your face except you're facing death, or you're facing another person's death, or you're facing the things that are beyond what your intellect can use to feel some sense of safety? What happens then? It's an experiment, because then it's Baba, really, the Baba that you love, that is your beloved, that is there holding you. That's what I will take until the next time and the next time and the next time, and it just grows. I think that's beautiful what Mani said. It's like, it's never a going backwards, it's always a going forward. It's always a going forward. So at least there's that to look forward to. But anyways, Jai Baba,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Good. We haven't seen you on the in the neighborhood recently. Hey,
Jeff, can I
Yeah.
just say quickly to Alan,
sure. Yeah.
Alan, I'm so happy you're enjoying the God Seeker. That is so rewarding for me to hear. I just truly appreciate that you like the book and that it's helping you. So, Jai Baba.
Oha is Manu's daughter. I don't know if you know Alan.
Yeah, it's a great book. Well, I mean, and beautifully written. Mary Chand.
Jai Mer Baba Jeff. Can you hear me out?
Yeah.
I think Goer will endorse my views, because I had an opportunity to see for the first time Baba on 12th April 1959 in a small room. But I still remember in 1962 and 65 darshan,
Yes.
we used to always feel, now we were always, my mother used to say, Baba is our family God. I didn't understood what is family God, even now also, my mother. And we are 5 children, we used to go in to Baba's darshan as per the circulars in the band, because now we are, at least I always feel jealous about the present generation. Their opportunity to visit Mehrabad at least 9 months in a year. In those days, very difficult to get darshan. Only when Baba calls only we have to go. Other than that, we are not permitted to see Baba. So my mother always used to tell us, now you are get a chance to go to see Baba. So don't see this side or that side, only concentrate on Baba. So when we go, because you know that on 1st November, 2nd November, 3rd November, 4th November, all the pilgrims are permitted to come to the Guru Prasad and sit in the pandal. But darshan is given only one day to the group wise or language wise. So we used to see Baba, and we used to see how Baba's fingers are moving, Baba's gestures, and how Baba, and most of the time, always Baba sit on the chair. Sometimes he used to say with his hands like that on his chest, and sometimes he used to do namaskar, means he used to give namaskar. And we used to admire such a way, such we never used to miss a single scene. When we feel that to turn out, we used to see that Baba is seeing us. Even when we are very far and this thing, but Baba is always used to look. And some people used to suddenly, some Baba used to call somebody. He has something in his heart about his wish or something. Baba immediately used to call them. So we used to always try to be in the looks of Baba, and Baba always used to say, we never felt that Baba, especially for me, I never felt Baba was silent. Baba always used to, I feel that always talking to us by inwardly, or I think, I don't know, I didn't have that time, I didn't have good knowledge, because I was, first time when I saw, I was only 5 years in 59, and then 62, I was 7. So, but one thing is, even now also, even for going to Mehrabad, I always used to stay in Dharamshala. When from Dharamshala to the Samadhi on the pathway, we used to always feel rush up to get a chance to go for a darshan and all. And unless until somebody calls, hey, Jai Mer Baba Merchant, how are you? And then only is to talk. Otherwise, our concentration is to reach the destination, that is Baba's Samadhi. And similarly, when Baba was in a physical form, we always used to rush up and occupy the seat so that we should able to see Baba. So we never felt, even now, even somebody asked me to do some prayer and all that, I always feels I say I can't do the prayer because unless I should have some preparation. The moment I should close my eye for the prayer, my eyes, I should Baba, I should feel that as if I'm seeing Baba or I'm doing my prayer in front of Samadhi. So such a thing is, but one aspect I want to clarify to all the Baba lovers, even that's what I always feel. That's my personal experience. Even if I can't love Baba, Baba always loves me so much. More than I love Baba, Baba loves me. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Well, let's see. I want to read here's a quote of Bob. It's just, this was in Guru Prasad. I wrote down the date because it's an unusual quote. 25th of July, 1960. This is Baba at Guru Prasad said, the same theater, the same show, the same actors, 24 hours a day, eternally. And I have not only to keep awake, but smile and clap. This is Baba's experience. The same theater, the same show, the same actors, 24 hours a day, eternally. And I have not only to keep awake, but smile and clap. What do you think of that, Rainey? I mean, he has to stay up. I mean, we can go to bed, when we've had enough, we can just go to bed like, Josh and just lean back on that sofa. But he's got to be in the, forward on his chair, listening to everything, following everything.
5 to 6 hours sleep, apparently everyone survived on all those years.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if Mayor Prasad, if he's got a final quote for us, unless anybody has. But let's see if Mayor Prasad has. Just again to say that Erwin Luck, I'm going to interview Erwin Luck, and he's going to focus some of it on the 62 East-West Gathering. Mayor Prasad, are you there, or you just your telephone?
I'm here.
Any quote that before we have a moment of silence?
Yeah, I can read one quote. Let me.
Oh wait, just before you do that, Peter Solomasi has raised his hand, but I hope his computer is audible.
All right, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been wanting to make a contribution all night long, only I didn't know what to say, and I've been busy, and this is the first time I've been able to take a step back. And one thing I want to say is I appreciate the people that got vulnerable on the line. It's appreciated hearing your heart. On another account, I wanted to answer a question about, asking Mayor Baba for stuff. And I just realized from my perspective, it's a necessity to ask Mayor Baba for stuff, whether it's power, whether it's direction, whatever the case may be, because I look at it like, all right, Mayor Baba is infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss. I, in reality, have no power. I have finite knowledge, and really, I don't feel like I have much bliss. So I have to ask Mayor Baba or let's just say I choose to ask him for direction, because my direction, oh God, it's scary where my direction, where my will can take me. It's pretty scary sometimes. So I find it a necessity to ask him for direction. And sometimes, you know, what touched me, Jeff, is what you talked about, that quote from Mani about how she wanted to be powerful, to follow Mayor Baba's mission, but she got so much weakness that she had to constantly ask him for strength or for help dealing with the weakness. And I find that's also my plight, is having to constantly ask Baba for help with stuff, because although on paper I'm a really smart guy, I haven't been able to use my IQ points very well. So it's been debilitating. And I remember the little things, like when I'm at work and I'm on my last place where I need to be, and I have to unlock doors. And I remember sometimes going to the doors and putting a key in the lock, and I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm cranky because it's 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, and it's not happening. And I'm jimmying the lock. And finally I just look up because he's right there. And I'm like, and I look up like a little kid. Can you help me, please? Bam. I crank it and the lock opens up like it was butter. And I just find that it's a necessity to lean on Baba, whether I like it or not, because most of the time I'm probably pretty angry at him because I'm angry at myself. It's a necessity to rely on him. It's a bare bones necessity. I could choose not to, but that is a scary, scary proposition, not to ask Mayor Baba for help, to go on my own will. It's just flat out scary thinking about where I'd be without him. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you. I don't want to. Okay. Pass. Thanks.
Yeah. No, I think that works. That sounds good. I agree. Go for it. So Rainey and then Mayor Prasad.
I'd just like to say that I won't be able to come to Tuesdays for 8 weeks because I have another one of my history of rock and roll Marin County courses. And so I won't be here on Tuesday. And I'm an East-West Gathering fanatic, as we know. So I thought that I would prime people with a little gem out of East-West Gathering, which of all things Francis was asked to write because Bao got too busy. On the 1st of November 1962, the sun, which had become a last quarter moon, broke to pieces by clouds, again became itself in brightness. On the 1st of November 1962, the vintner, who had scrawled across his wine shop window, "No further stocks," again opened his door and beamed on his customers. On the 1st of November 1962, there was laughter and weeping from clear seeing across heartscapes and whispered love talks through the narrow streets in the city of love. On the 1st of November 1962, thousands of hearts to God-man flew and nested at his feet. And each one knew one moment with him can a whole lifetime undo.
Beautiful. I mean, you're really bringing Francis Brazon to life. I mean, yeah. Beautiful. I had a thought. What was that thought? But you won't be here the next few Tuesdays, or just this coming Tuesday?
7 Tuesdays. This professor of rock and roll is, it takes him 7 weeks to do a particular star. And I've been doing them for the 18 months of the lockdown. And he's terrific. And he sort of depends on me because I educated him about Australian rock and roll. So he likes me to be there. And this one's on the doors, folks. So I've got to go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The doors of perception.
Yes, well, they didn't quite get there, did they? they got into
well,
the doors of deception.
Well, what did, let's see, what was it? Oh my God.
East-West Gathering, 1st of November, Irwin Luck. Yeah,
I hear Prasad.
Mayor Prasad, that was it.
Yeah.
Mayor Prasad was it.
Okay, go for it, Mayor, and then we'll have a few moments of silence afterwards. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we do.
The spiritual journey does not consist in arriving at a new destination where a person gains what he did not have or becomes what he was not. Want me to read it again?
Yes.
The spiritual journey does not consist in arriving at a new destination where a person gains what he did not have or becomes what he was not. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Baba.
Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba.
Hey,
Yeah,
Baba.
any is that anyone have that T.S. Eliot quote off the top of their head? And the end of all exploring, we will arrive at the place where we started and know it for the first time. Beautiful, beautifully put in just the vernacular. Okay. Any
Thanks,
loose
Jeff.
ends? Yeah.
Thank
good.
you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
Linda
much.
Blue, and it
Jai
was nice to
Baba.
see you there in Corvallis. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jay Baba, wonderful.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
Hey, Mayor
everybody
Baba,
for
Jeff.
Good night,
adding
all.
to the soup.
Yeah.
A little beef, a little,
Thank you, Jeff.
potatoes. Yeah, Jay Baba.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Take care, Jeff.
When's
Yeah,
the,
yeah, Peter, thank you.
when is the center opening up again?
At this point, it's the 1st of October.
For the public?
Yeah, for overnight stays.
And then, okay, well, that's good news.
Yeah, and that's subject to what happens with the, the Delta variant.
Oh, yes.
But so far, you'll be kind of a little more, you'll be a little bit in a bubble.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little restricted on the kitchens and all of that. But it's nothing compared to being in Baba's atmosphere. We could bring you in on a straitjacket and you still have one of the best times of your life.
Yeah.
Or in a stretcher. We'll bring you in on a stretcher.
Yeah, I long to be there again, and
Yeah.
hope to be there and see you soon.
Yeah.
So,
Good. See you guys.
All right. Good night, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Star,
Thank you, Jeff.
Baba.
Jai.
Jai.
Hey, Mayor Baba.
Oh, Nasreen, we got to get Nasreen to say the final farewell.
Hey, Baba. Avatar, Meher Baba
Baba
ki
ki jai.
That's it.
Thank
Right
you.
from the heart.
Thank you.